Hello everyone and welcome to the LSI F1 World Championship. We're today for the Hungarian Grand Prix. I'll give you a bit of a cinematic camera as we start the stream. Welcome to round 13. One of the most classic circuits, a driver favourite, I think. Spectator-wise, either you love it or you hate it. Sometimes it can be very, very entertaining, and sometimes it can be very, very boring. Boring. But, yeah, let's hope we have the first part of that sentence, if you even caught that, because I muddled it up so much. We've got rain. Cohen, would you want to consider starting on the mediums and going all the way until wet conditions, or would you not want to risk it?
Yeah, it's quite hard because the weather report of Formula 1 can be a bit off sometimes, of course. But I think some people will try it. But yeah, we will see eventually. And Andrews is now finishing his lap on the inters. Well, it's almost very dry and he puts it on pole position for now, but I'll reckon somebody will go quicker on the softs, and Singy is now on the out lap as well.
Yeah, so it seems like, according to what we've seen in the past, the qualifying session is getting drier much quicker. Back in, when was it? It was France, I think, for F1.5, and even last weekend as well. It dried up very, very, very late, but now we've got pretty much soft tyre conditions already, even though Anders has gone and put it onto that Inters. It was Inters when he came out of the pit lane, and it was Inters when he was on his lap, but yeah, it's dried up pretty quickly, interestingly. Lots of people already on out laps. We've got Zingy about to start a lap here. He's got a couple more corners to go and he will be ready to give it his first soft tyre run. He's probably going to get about 2 soft tyre runs in the session. He'll cross the line with DRS open and a full battery. Into turn 1 we will go. Heavy braking and a kind of late apex in the F1 game. On traction, don't ride over that outside curb. Second bit of DRS. That is a double detection DRS section into turns 2, and of course as you head toward 3, open up the corner, keep it tight to the inside and then not bottoming out as best as you can, otherwise you will spin. Up through 4, very, very high speed, easy to invalidate on the exit, but they're nice and tidy. It's their first soft tyre run. They're going to put it on provisional pole anyway, so they don't need to risk too much. Into 6 and 7, a very demanding chicane, and they ride over that quite nicely. Very good job indeed through the S section. Or quite harsh over the curb. That might slow you down a little bit, but still, other than that, it's fairly tidy. In 11, you are allowed to extend those track limits in qualifying, remember. So he's done that, and once again, track limits at turn 12, but he decides not to go for that extension. Still goes purple. Final few corners, penultimate corner on exit, straighten up the wheel as best as you can, and he does that very well. Now keeping it tight, open up the steering and foot to the floor. DRS is available. What's the time going to be? That's a 15.974. Very, very good job from him. That's the first lap of the soft tyre runners, and the track's going to be a little bit cold right now.
Yeah, of course it rained, so that has big input on the tire temps, or on the track temps, but eventually on the tire temps. Singy put in quite a tidy lap, but on the fast right-hander turn 11, he went off a bit. I think he can improve a lot there, but going under that 1.16 mark already is quite impressive. So he's doing very fine.
Yeah, very, very good from him. 4 minutes left on the clock. He's got a bit of time to go in and come out again. It's a fairly quick track, as you can see. 15 seconds over the 1 minute mark. It's not too bad. The outlap, of course, is a little bit longer. So it's one of those tracks where you can leave it a little bit later into the session until you go out. You wouldn't want to do it too much, though. And also something to consider is tyre temps around this circuit. By the time you get to the end of the lap, you might be struggling for your tyres. It's just such a demanding circuit with all the low speed corners and not really much of a high speed section, because the high speed section, although you'd expect it to give you a little bit more temperature, it actually does allow you to get some nice air blowing onto those tyres, which you don't really experience in corners when you're going a little bit slower. They're pretty quick, though, through the corners anyway. It's a Formula car. 16.6 for Mikash in P2, so a very good job from him to get into the session and immediately put a time on the board. We've got Riardi, who's coming for redemption here to try and get that win that he missed out on time penalties. Talking about time penalties, Curran, is this an easy track to get time penalties at, or not so much?
Well, depends. You can get a time penalty very easily on one spot on the track, and that's turn 4, the very fast left-hander, as you overshoot it very easily. And on the right-hand side of the track, yeah, you have track limits over there, so it's quite hard. But if you manage it well, then you have no problems with it. As we already puts his car in P3, very close to Mikash, only 20 thousandths, so that's close between the two of them. As the whole grid is still in the pit lane waiting for the last moment to go out, of course, with the best track conditions.
Indeed. That's a 16.693 from Riardi, so he improves his way up, but wasn't able to get any more. It seems that Zingy's first lap was pretty good. It was pretty good. Lots of people in the pit lane except from Riardi, who's already done his lap, so unless he's going to be trying to save, which it looks like he is right now to try and get that ERS back up, he's going to be in a bit of trouble. Zingy is on an outlap. He's trying to burn that fuel, make his car as light as possible. He knows that he's only going to get one more run in this session anyway, so there's no point of having any extra fuel in the car. You want to get it to about, 2 laps, 1.8 maybe of fuel, and that's going to be enough for you to be able to do a pretty comfortable lap. Or is it 1.5? I don't know, but you usually use a bit extra when you're doing a qualifying lap, of course, as you are in absolute maximum attack. Zingy has got a couple more corners to go, and he'll start the final lap of the session for himself.
Yeah, Zingy being very careful on those tires. You don't want to heat them up very quickly, because you will take that through the whole lap, of course. But he will line it up now for the last lap for his session, and probably try and sharpen that pole position for now, as he's lining it up for the straight and going into turn 1. Very heavy braking section, of course. Then you want to hit that apex quite early. Another DRS zone, of course, and then you go to turn 2. Very slow left-hander, as it will turn into a fast right-hander, which is full throttle, so it's not actually a corner, but we still give it a number 3, of course. Then rounding up the first sector, let's see if he's purple. He is by 2/10, as he's almost validating, taking everything out of the track as he can. Now into that chicane, turn 6 and 7, of course. Taking it very nicely. You don't want to hit that curve too much, because it will set you off. Then he takes as much of the track as possible into those fast S's. Almost doing it very well, and then this fast right-hander, if he can now make it a bit tidier, he's going off again. No warning, so all good. 5/10 up now. It looks like a very good lap time by Zingy. Let's see what he can do as he's running off that last sector and the lap. Going through the last corner now. Really tightening it, and then just want to open up the throttle as much as possible as you can. Let's see what time it will be for Zingy. It will be a 15.3. That's a very good lap by Zingy.
Awesome job from him. Riardi's got a couple more corners to go, but he's invalidated. That will be it for him. And Andrews, no, it's Luke, who will be next to set their lap time. 25.9 is their last lap they've set, so they're currently at the back of the grid. What is it going to do for them right now as they cross the line? It's going to be a P2 for now. 3/10 away, but just about improving overhead of Mika. So a brilliant job from him. Nifojan, is he going to be able to make it an AlphaTauri 1-2? He will be able to make it an AlphaTauri 1-2 momentarily. PJ and Andrews are coming through. They will not be able to improve in ahead of them. That is a brilliant qualifying from both AlphaTauri drivers right at the end there. Just quickly going to clarify. Hello, chat. And no comment, Stefano. Alrighty, Zingy takes the pole position, Nifojan in P2, and then End Andrews in P3. That's the rest of the grid. And then we're going to skim through the race director just in case if we need to later on. And we'll be back for the race. We'll see you in a bit. Ready? Hold! Go! Who's gonna get it into turn one? Zingy gets away well, as always, but End Andrews, will he be able to get ahead of the AlphaTauris? No, he will not. To the inside he goes, compromising Nifojan as he's now threatened by End Andrews. Luke sits there in P4. He can't get in on this one. That's all. The Alpine at the back, unfortunately, Riardi wasn't able to make anything off the start, and that's Mikash staying ahead, so a brilliant job from them. Nifojan just about manages to hold on to that P2 as Zingy went for that aggressive cutoff. He wanted that racing line. What is going to happen as they go through turn 5? And this is going to be a very interesting corner where many overtakes will be possible. He has a quick look just to spot his braking point. No one's going to have a go. That's a yellow, unfortunately, for Mikash earlier on. Other than that, everybody's just kind of got into a single file position at this stage.
Yeah, Luke having a very good traction, of course, being on those softer medium tires. And Andrews didn't get away that good, but I think he also just wanted to let go Luke, who's now setting off to the AlphaTauris, of course, trying to hunt them down and try and get that P1. Maybe Luke is just on a different tire strategy because of the weather, or maybe just he likes that softer tire at the end or at the beginning first. So as Nifo has a big moment of oversteer, and there goes Luke side by side now using their ERS both as they're spamming it. Zingy giving the slipstream to Nifojan, but Luke still on the inside will outbrake Nifo here, taking the inside of turn 1, of course, and then we'll run it out wide. As they're still side by side, little bit of tappings, and now into turn 2, still side by side. Will Luke manage to hang it around the outside? No, he will not, and Nifo just takes the position back again. Great racing.
Brilliant squeeze to finish that one off, just about holds on, and luckily does not lose out to Zingy, because if you do lose out on that DRS zone, you're going to be struggling. There's so many corners around this circuit that are so difficult to manage. That is Luke round. I don't believe it. Luke spins round. I think he's just about avoided the wall. I don't think he's got damage, but he's down the order to P6. He goes. That is going to be a problematic situation for him. I do not believe it. Was he starting on that medium tyre hoping it would probably go a little bit longer, and then all of a sudden just maybe overheating this early on with lots of fuel in the car? I don't know. That's an interesting one. End Andrews now releases into P3. There's a little bit of a gap in between him, but he can now catch up a little bit as well, of course. That's something to look into a little bit later on. That is Nifojan, so close to his teammate, and he's going to go for the move, it seems, into turn 1. Would he go for it this early? No, he's going to wait, interestingly. Went for a purple lap, but still didn't want to go for it just yet. Is that a wise idea? Zingy might try and pull the plug here as DRS is about to be available. Maybe run away with this.
Yeah, I think Nifos Gen staying behind is the better thing to do, because if they start battling right now, and Anders will only be closer and will catch up eventually, and that will not be good for the both of them. So I think that was a wise choice by Nifo. But yeah, very unfortunate for Luke over there, losing it out of the chicane, I think, or out of the S's, I don't know. But yeah, he just has that superior tire at the moment, so he will try and catch up to PJ as fast as he can, and undoubtedly that he can do that.
And Andrew's losing the car a little bit as well, so maybe the Mercedes just a bit hard to deal with. Very, very tricky around this circuit. Now, Luke, he got on the curb on the exit of turn 5, so either it was on the traction, or these guys are trying to run some very interesting ride height configurations on their car to give them a straight line speed advantage. And as a compromise for straight line speed, you will then have a harder time on the curbs. So that is what these guys are maybe experiencing, especially Luke, as it seemed to be like he was running over the curb, but I can't quite confirm. He goes for a purple lap as he is on that medium tyre with clean air. He should have a good chance of catching back up, of course, as he does have clean air. There's so many corners around this circuit that clean air is probably more of an advantage than having DRS, and that is one of the few circuits to have that situation. So there is going to be a bit of a difference in strategy, I think. I think an overcut is definitely going to be possible to use, but also grip-wise, you'll just have such an extreme advantage with an undercut. So it's really going to be something that you have to consider. as a rule of thumb, you'll be undercutting if you start on the hard tyre and overcutting if you start on the medium tyre. But Luke, after that spin, he might have to try something a little bit different, so we could possibly see him pitting early.
Yeah, which is also beneficial for the hard runners is that if they have done their pit stop, they will be on the mediums, which they warm up very quickly, faster than the hards, and that's the downside of starting on those mediums as Luke is doing. He will have to warm up that hard tire, which is just not easily done. So yeah, that's a little problem for him, but he will not try and catch up to PJ as he closed up 8/10 or so in this lap. So he's doing a good job, and hopefully he can return very quickly. As Wiardi is also still hanging on to this DRS group, which is very crucial for him, and he's doing that very well.
Yeah, we've got a nice little train going on. Unfortunately, PJ has just missed out. That will allow Luke to catch up a little bit. PJ does still have time to try and get back, but it's going to be pretty hard work around a circuit like this. But never say never, of course. One mistake and it can all change. Nifojan not looking to try and overtake their teammate anytime soon, it seems. They're just kind of trying to let them relax. And we've seen that in the likes of Imola, France, the Netherlands, of course, as well. And then we saw a battle between these guys a lot later on into this race for the win, of course. Oh, and that is a moment for Wiardi as he probably got a time penalty for that one, or a track limit warning. Hopefully nothing more than that if so, but that's a scary moment. He manages to hold it for now. Anyway, back to the top two. They've continuously had this rivalry. I'm waiting to see the day that Nipo tries to give his teammate a much harder time earlier on in the race, because Zingy right now is relaxing. He's not going to be risking anything, and yes, these guys are teammates, but they're championship rivals, and Nipo needs any advantage that he can over Zingy.
Yeah, as I said before, it's not smart for Nifo to overtake Zingy, but at some point you really want a dogfight between both of them, because for Nifo it can only be beneficial. If he doesn't overtake Zingy, maybe Enus can, and yeah, he needs to get more aggressive if he wants that win for this race and a shot at the title as well.
Just a clarification, the constructors have already been won by AlphaTauri. So right now they don't have any reason to be working together.
Yeah.
Championship-wise, we will have like a little bit of a celebratory thing at the end of the season for those guys, of course, because they've done a very good job and they deserve that title very, very much indeed. So it's a great job from them this season. Fully deserved. Lots of dedication from both drivers, and a lot of entertainment as well throughout this whole season. Zingy leads the way as we head on to lap 7 out of 35. Nifojan, is he going to consider making a move sooner rather than later? I think he's going to wait until the pit stops. Pit stops? I can't remember the strategy quite honestly, so I do apologise for that one. I assume it's going to be around about lap 18 on the hards, because there are 35 laps in this race, which makes it
19,
quite a long one.
20, something like that.
Fair enough. So what lap would you want to pit if you were on the hard or medium tyres?
Well, if I'm on the hards, like Zingy, Nifo and the whole top 4 is doing, I would go into lap 19 or 20 and keeping those mediums as fresh as possible, because yeah, tire wear is not that high, but it's not that low as well, because of the tire temps as well. They are getting very high, but you want those mediums like very fresh, because they drop off at the end. So and unlike the others, Luke is of course going to pit to the hard tire, which will be consistent throughout the whole race. So yeah, for the top 4, I would recommend they will go like to lap 20, but maybe they go sooner. Maybe they prove me wrong. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, obviously the two AlphaTauri drivers have a shared pit box, so they have to react to one another. I think they're also communicating. I believe so. So they'll be choosing when to go for it, of course. And Andrews and Luke, I believe they're not communicating, but they will also have to choose who pits first, of course. So that's going to be something that will be considered. As the lead driver, generally, you get priority, of course. So at this point, Luke is going to have to be the one to react to whatever Andrews does. Right now, the top two are still very, very close. Andrews is not that far away, but there's obviously a divide between these guys. You can just see it just about right now. As soon as I mention it, it's kind of disappeared. But you could see the top two kind of 3 to 2 tenths away from each other. Andrews was about 5 tenths away. Now it's kind of spread out 4 tenths and 4 tenths. So yeah, it makes me look a little bit stupid, but never mind. You know what I mean. You'll see it in a bit when it happens again. But Zingy is leading the way. He seems quite comfortable at the moment, but Nifojan, he does seem to have the advantage as well. He seems to catch up when he's not really trying too hard, especially on the straights.
Yeah, Nifojan's of course benefiting of the DRS, which is very good because of course you have a higher top speed, but you will recuperate ERS quicker as well, as there's a little gap between them now, but it's brought back with the DRS. As you see how overpowered it is, like 4 tenths as he overshoots turn 1 a little bit. But as I'm watching through Andrews, he's driving very relaxed, and I'm looking at his steering wheel, and he has a lot of ERS to burn with if he wants to. But for now he's just chilling behind them. But the only problem for Andrews right now is that he's third in this DRS train, which makes it very hard to overtake Nifo, because he has the DRS, of course, of Zingy, and they can work together. So I don't know how that will go eventually, but at the moment it looks good for Andrews.
He almost had an opportunity to make an overtake that last lap, because as I was saying, the top two were closer than Andrews was to either of them. All of a sudden, Nifojan was 8 tenths away from Zingy, and Andrews was right behind him. So that almost changed up. It didn't change up, and he just about stays in front. So that is a close call for Nifojan. Now that's 6 tenths. So it seems like Zingy's maybe a bit more strong in the middle sector, and Nifojan has to try and work hard to get it back in the final sector. The first sector, of course, it's got a couple straights, so you're going to have that advantage. But generally, anyway, it does seem to be a sector that they are strong at. They can have accuracy through turn 4 with the wheel that they have, of course, whereas Zingy not so much. He might even get himself a couple warnings if he's not careful. That is something to consider a little bit later on. We also have Luke, who's almost caught up to PJ. Well, they've got DRS, so we'll expect to see a little bit of a battle between those guys at some point soon. They don't have a train going on, so they're going to be going all in very, very shortly. Zingy, he's only got a 3 tenth gap, as once again, Nifo's just strong in that first sector. He's able to keep up. I want to know, if he gets into the lead, is he going to be good to go? That is Riardi, unfortunately, round at the same point. No, it's not even the same point of the circuit to Luke. He just makes that mistake just before the chicane, and that is him down the order to P6 and 4 seconds behind Luke. That is a costly moment.
Yeah, that's a big shame for Riardi, as he was doing so well in that DRS train. Yeah, he was hanging on there and not being very close to Andrews, but yeah, he was just waiting for the right time to maybe make a move or watch them battle and benefit of it. But yeah, now he's behind Luke with quite a big gap as well, as Luke is now on the DRS straight for PJ, and PJ is weaving a little bit, as these guys are both on the medium tires, so that's quite crucial. This is for track position, as they will of course both pit to the hards then.
Bit of a moment of a loss of traction for PJ and a slight lag, but hopefully nothing more than a slight lag. That is Luke sitting right behind, as you said, going equal on tyre compound, so it's very difficult to get that advantage compared to what you would expect usually if you started on that medium tyre. Although it seems like PJ's car is maybe a little bit loose. He's just lost the car a couple of times in the last few corners, which isn't ideal. Of course, you've got pressure from a car behind, which can definitely shift your focus of not going as fast as you possibly can. It is something that does happen quite often. Now, PJ is going to be in trouble with that. Luke, he's going to love it. He's still got to try and set up an overtake and make sure he doesn't make any mistakes in the final few corners. Then he might have a chance if he can use the energy wisely.
Yeah, Luke's now going into the pit lane. Okay, that's a very soon move, as he almost loses it into the pit lane, so that's not good. But now he will just pit on those hard tires. I did not expect him to go that soon, to be honest, but maybe he wants to try and undercut PJ, of course, and take the position as I'm not losing that much time behind him, because I think Luke was a bit quicker. But yeah, we'll see what will happen when PJ will pit.
Unfortunately, PJ spun on the exit of the final corner, so the undercut will work regardless. So if he was trying to avoid traffic by pitting onto that second medium tyre, it's completely gone out the window. He doesn't need to worry about it. That does allow Riyadi to get into P4, but you can see how much time he lost from that spin. 9.8 seconds he lost from spinning that car. He was with the top 4. He's now back in 4th, but such a long way back. He's going to have to hope that everybody in front of him resets the track, and then maybe he'd have a chance of getting back. But, of course, anything can happen. Pit stops can change things up. There is a possibility for a safety car around Hungary. It's a very tight track, and your car can bounce back onto the circuit if you do crash into a wall. So that's going to be something that we'll consider closer to the pit stop range for everybody, of course, as the tyres do start to die off. And Andrews has lost out on DRS range. This is now going to allow Nifojan to be able to break away a little bit and have less pressure from the Mercedes behind, maybe go for an overtake on their teammate at some point within the next few laps. That is perfect for Nifojan. Pretty good for Zingy as well, because he wouldn't need to worry about losing out to End Andrews if, of course, Nifo did go on the attack. But yeah, that's going to make it a little bit brutal, I think, as we go later on into the race.
I think there's something weird going on, as and Andrews is using the ERS throughout the whole lap, and now on my screen he's set back to 7, so I don't know what's happening. Maybe it's a bit of lag, but I don't think Andrews is purposely using all of his ERS on the whole lap throughout the corners and traction as well, so that's a bit weird. I don't know what's happening.
Okay, so he's now... Hold on, let me reset. Okay, that's interesting. So he's P7, 2 seconds behind Luke. There, he's left the session.
Yeah.
Okay, so he left the session now. Unfortunately, and I hate to say it, if he joins back, it's going to put him a lap down. Now, in the past, when we've had this bug, we have reinstated that person's position. But if there is a safety car or anything like that, that could create some issues. At this point, though, End Andrews, he has to join back and just carry on racing as usual. It's just a shame, because if those other guys don't know that this is the case and Anders was able to overtake these guys, they're going to be in big trouble. They're going to be in big trouble, because they'll think that they don't need to worry about fighting Andrews when they actually do. We'll have to wait and see. Hopefully, nothing more than a disconnect and he can get back in all safely.
Yeah, as now his ERS is gained a lot again, so that's good for him if he rejoins. But it was a very weird thing. I just noticed it. So as Riyadi takes a 3-second time penalty, which is not crucial, but at the moment it's not really a problem for him, as PJ is still 7 seconds behind him. But now there's only a battle between the AlphaTauri, so Nifo now really has to bring it to Zingy to make this a battle and get that position.
Yeah, for sure. That is a crazy couple laps. We're already getting that time penalty on lap 14 as we now start lap 15. So other drivers are probably going to be in a similar situation, of course. Although we already did have that big moment at turn 12. Or 11, actually, I should say. So that might have been a track limit warning, which others may not have been at risk of getting, of course. Just a quick clarification. If you do want to get in, just head over to the link tree. There should be a link somewhere on the YouTube channel. Game crash, sadly. Race is too boring for me to join back. Sorry for that. No worries. That will be that. Zingy takes the lead and Nifojan will sit in P2. And that's good for him. 3/10 behind. Pit stops may be on their way soon.
Yeah, that's unfortunate for End Andrews, as he was in quite a good position, looking to his ERS, and On track position, of course. Petri is not that good, but I think he could have made a move if he wanted to. But yeah, sometimes you're unlucky. I had the same in Austria where I got disconnected when I was trying to make a gap to other people. But yeah, it's just a stupid game sometimes. But yeah, you can't do anything about it, and sometimes you have to live with it, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. At the moment, I just pray that the AI card doesn't cause any issues, of course. And as said, he's not going to be joining back, so that's going to be a potential problem, unfortunately. We'll have to wait and see. Of course, the chances are nothing will happen. Zingy leads the way. 4/10. He has the advantage. PJ actually got a time penalty recently. He's on that medium tyre, so he's going to be going into the pit lane now, actually. And that's going to be good for him. So, onto that hard tyre all the way to the end, just relaxing. We'll lose that position to Luke, of course, because Luke had that advantage. Luke's actually got a bit of a battle on their hands with Mikash, of course, so that might bubble up in a couple of laps' time.
Yeah, and Luke is also going for the two-stop. He went onto the mediums again. I think he's just hoping for a safety car right now to bring him back in this race, as he's very close to Mikash, going to the outside of turn 4. Will that end well? Yes, he managed it. Very good move by Luke, and very good awareness by Mikash to just let it off and let it go.
Yeah, didn't want to go side by side at turn 4. He just wants to have a minimum impact. Of course, he's going to be racing tomorrow for the EU Championship, so hopefully he can do well there. This is going to be great practice for him, of course. There is going to be a bit of rain coming in a little bit later on, so we'll have to consider that, of course, a little bit later on.
Yeah, you're right. I almost forgot about that.
Alright, this is interesting. So, Riyadi is going to overtake the AI car. They do get DRS, so that's going to be a nice advantage from them. But it seems the pace of the top two is just way too powerful. They are slowly extending that gap. We don't know the difference between Luke and the top two. We do know the difference. He's going fastest. He's on that double medium strategy. And to be honest, that might not be a bad idea. Cohen, if you start on the hards, are you going to have to pit again, or are you going to try and extend all the way until the wet conditions?
Yeah, that depends on when the rain falls. I think when you can extend those hards to lap 25 maybe, or 28, but at that moment you also are carrying the risk of having a tire puncture. But what Luke is doing now very cleverly with the rain maybe coming, yeah, he's on those mediums. He's faster now than the top two. If they pit right now, they could end up behind Luke, which is good for him because it's at the track position, and if it rains, it's just all equal. So at the moment it's looking quite good for Luke if the rain is coming.
He's got a lot of pace in that car. He did that double medium. He had the idea on the strategy. So that's going to be something to consider later on. At this point, I would be interested to see if Nifo or Zingy will be going for a set of soft tyres. However, thinking about all of that, it seems like they're going to try and go a little bit longer. No, surely you can't. Surely you can't go longer. Soft tyres wouldn't be any good either, because you're going to want to be on as high tyre temps as you possibly can. And around this circuit, you have to go pretty low anyway. In the wet conditions, you can go a little bit higher, but because of most of this race is in wet condition, dry conditions, you're going to be pretty low on those tyre pressures. So, that's an interesting one. I don't know. I don't think these guys are going to be getting all the way to the rain on this tyre, especially if you don't know if it's even going to be here soon enough to even warrant a pit stop. It might just be on the last couple of laps and be a little bit annoying. The chances of that happening is pretty slim, but still, I don't know. They have to pit, surely.
Yeah, they will probably pit. Now they will go on to lap 19, so that pit stop is coming very quickly towards them. But yeah, it's still looking good for Luke, as he's closing up the gap to Guiardi very quickly as well, taking a second per lap at the moment, which is not weird, of course, because he's on those fresh mediums and the others are on a used set of hards at the moment. But yeah, Nifo still following behind Zingy.
Indeed. Lap 19 out of 35. We've had a fair way through this race so far. Still a long way to go. These two have put the pressure on throughout the entire race, both burning all that battery. Neither of them have got ERS, so they're definitely proving to each other that they are pushing each other to the limit. Now, Zingy and Nifo, they've both had some extremely close races this season, which is, quote, I will quote, made them shiver at the end of adrenaline. It's been pretty impressive to see these guys go so close together. And right now, it seems like they're both in a league of their own. They were breaking away from the rest of the field earlier on, and it was pretty epic to see. Luke, different strategy. I think it's going to be something to consider. Into the pit lane, though, is Zingy. Nifo will not even go for an overtake on Zingy. They're probably thinking, all right, actually, hold on a minute. Luke might actually have a look at getting something over us here. We have to make sure we don't fight each other. Nifo extends one extra lap. He's going to go onto that medium tyre. Would Nifo try and go onto a set of soft?
Yeah, if he wants to try and do something different towards his teammate, he might think about that. But he will have to extend this stint very much, and he will drop quite a large gap behind Zingy, because of Zingy, of course, being on those new tires. So I don't really know. Maybe he will drive a bit longer, waiting for that rain to pit. But yeah, I don't know. It will be quite hard as Luke now catches up to Zingy, as Zingy is still warming up his tires. So this is good for Luke. He can now try and stay in that DRS train and hopefully maybe try and make an overtake on Zingy.
I don't know if that's a good idea. I know warming up your tyres on their pit exit can be a strategy, but I don't really know if that's necessary, because now Nifo will get a bit of an advantage from that. It'll be about a tenth or two, which is going to be everything. He seems to have a lot of pace in that car. He might even extend away again, but Luke still got DRS off the AI car of End Andrews, of course. Nifo-jan's going to pit. He might drop behind Luke here. We're going to watch on board with the Mercedes and see how it goes. Nifo-jan into the pit lane. I believe they're just about leaving their pit box now. So they're going to be making their way out of the pit lane. Where are they going to be? They're going to drop behind, surely. It's going to be side by side, almost into the braking zone. He's going to have to consider him. He will consider him. He's going to get the DRS, is he? He didn't get the DRS off of Zingy, so that is perfect news for Nifo-jan. Very, very good teamwork between the two. Nifo-jan wasn't able to get the car turned in with the cold tyres. He's going to be in trouble. Around the outside goes Luke as it's a drag race up into turn 4. Who's going to have the advantage? Still side by side. Nifo-jan goes off the circuit. There's contact. Nifo just about holds on. I think you would consider that just about fair. That was very, very tight.
Yeah, a little bit of tap-ins as Luke loses the car out of the chicane, and he didn't retire. Okay, that's good. But he did. He retired from the session, but I think he did it by himself, to be honest. That's not great, is it? I hope it's not causing any safety cars. But yeah, that was very close between the both of them.
Yeah, that's a heck of a shame. That's another retirement from Luke, another disconnect after just a spin. Very, very tight racing, of course. Unfortunately, didn't keep it in the right way, and that's going to be that for them. There's now a bit of a gap between Zingy and Nifo-jan. We already goes into the pit lane. Zingy goes for a fastest lap. That's a 2-second gap that Nifo-jan now has. So that's a big, big, big disadvantage that Nifo's had by pitting that 1 lap later. In the past, we have seen this happen, and Nifo-jan has caught that gap back up, so it's definitely something that could happen a little bit later on, and of course in the wet conditions it could definitely change. But yeah, that is a big difference between these two, and that was a costly moment for Nifo to have to fight Luke then.
Yeah, Nifo has that 1 lap younger tire, of course, but that doesn't make that big of a difference. But let's see if he can maybe try and close the gap, as he's doing nicely again in that middle sector. But yeah, let's hope he can do that and make the win exciting again for this race.
Of course. 1.8 seconds, so he is slowly closing. He does have that 1 lap fresher tyres, although by the time we get to the rain part of the race, you're not really going to be worried about tyre wear, honestly. You're just going to be worried about trying to keep it on track and hoping that you can get to the end if you're not going to be going for another pit stop. A fastest lap indeed for him. A very, very good job. 1.5 seconds now is the gap. So we called it. He is going to be catching up. Will he catch up enough to get the DRS though? That's what we want to see, so we can have a nice close battle. PJ in P3 at the moment. He's got Riardi, who's recently pitted, as now putting in those laps to try and get those tyres warmed up, and this will be his first full lap to maybe have a look at a fastest lap. Can he catch up to PJ and make that move? They both have time penalties. I think they're going to be good to go.
Yeah, Riardi also has a lot of ERS, so he can give it a big shot for the fast lap, which is of course giving you that extra point. And Nifo is still catching up very nicely. He's really reducing that gap as much as he possibly can. So he's doing a good job at it, and hopefully he can bring it back to 1 second for his sake.
For sure, that would be very nice to see. Riardi is going to be on his way. That is 1.4 seconds, 1.3-ish. It's kind of fluctuating. The gap between Zingy and Nifojan. Those clouds, can you see them getting darker? Not right now, but I'm sure it's on its way. It's going to be any time now. Surely it's got to be at some point soon. We're going to see those clouds get a little bit darker. Then the rain might not come in till later on. And even if it is raindrops, it might not be enough to make a pit stop. Something to consider. And of course, even if it's not enough to make a pit stop, it would be enough to make you have quite a big moment, maybe a couple mistakes, and then lose a significant amount of time, and maybe it would be sufficient to pit for a set of intermediate tyres. So what are your predictions, Colin? Do you think we're going to be going to the intermediate tyres, or do you think we're going to stay all the way to the end on a set of slicks?
I hope it will be between, like rain, but not enough for inters, and still fast enough for the slicks, which is really difficult to drive in, of course, because you have such less traction, and a mistake is easily made. As Nifo is now very closely in that 1 second, but he needs to get to the DRS detection point, but I think he will make it, and he caught up to Zingy again, so very good job by Nifo then.
A lot of pace, got a couple more corners. He can't afford to make a mistake, and then he'll be good to go across the detection line now. And he's got it. That is an epic job from him. And now we're going to have, once again, the battle for the lead. It is on. He'll catch up nicely. He'll be able to relax on the DRS straight a little bit. And then we'll have to see how this goes. The clouds are starting to appear now, so the inter conditions will be on their way. We've got about 11 laps remaining of this race. They're definitely going to be considering making a pit stop. And when will they do it? One driver is going to have to choose before the other, and I think we're going to have to we're going to see one of the AlphaTauris overtake each other, because it gets towards the final stages of the race. That one pit stop is going to be absolutely everything. That is Riardi getting ahead of PJ just about, but no, PJ comes back to the inside line. He's almost there. Has he made a mistake? He has made a mistake, and he's round. That battle will be over. It was a very, very good effort, though.
Yeah, that was a great effort by Riardi, going for the switchback, but unfortunately PJ loses it on the traction. He still manages to be to be in the same position, but the fight for P3 is now gone, unfortunately. But yeah, still a P4 would be a great result for him.
Yeah, lovely points for Alpine as well. That is going to be something to be happy about, I'm sure. And a circuit like this, you've got to be very, very happy if you can get a good result, because it's so difficult to get right. That is Zingy going defensive to the inside line, slightly missing the apex. Doesn't really matter too much, though. I don't think Nifo's going to be in any rush. He just wants to try and save that ERS. He did go defensive, and Nifo did catch up a lot. Not really enough to make a move, though. He wasn't pushing for it on the battery that he did have available. That was interesting. I didn't expect that.
Yeah, there was quite a significant gap still, and Zingy already started to weave a bit. So he can't do that too much, because that's not good, of course. But yeah, Nifo is now really, really close behind him, and I think he just wants to go for opportunity as soon as possible to overtake, because if there's rain, it's very hard to overtake. As Nifogen gets a 3 seconds time penalty, as I wanted to say that Zingy is extending track limits a bit. Oh, that's not good.
Going to be something that we'll have to look at later on, of course. And right now, and that's a bit of a mistake. So that is what you see when something goes wrong. Maybe a little bit of a distraction, and then you keep having bad moments. Hopefully Nifo doesn't get that. Hopefully that was the only bad moment. But Zingy now, he can relax, but I think the chances are he's probably got quite a few warnings. He's got no ERS, Nifojan's got that DRS, and he's catching up. He goes defensive again, so he's definitely seeing or showing a sign of pressure. That's going to be something that is going to decide this race, of course. I really don't know what's going to happen. I think, of course, Nifojan has the advantage to be able to overtake Zingy at some point, and whoever gets into the pit lane first, then they'll be able to decide what's going to happen with this time penalty, of course. Will Zingy be able to hold off and allow Nifo to stay behind, or is Nifojan going to be able to get ahead and maybe extend that gap? Or will Zingy get a time penalty?
Yeah, Nifo is now really looking for the opportunity to overtake, because he needs to break away, of course. But which is very crucial as well is what you said, who is getting the first pit stop if it's raining. That can really make a gap when one driver is still on the slicks driving in the rain and the other one is on the inter. So maybe that will benefit Nifogen and can help him to break away in the rain or on the inters, but that's still not happening for now. But the clouds are getting darker and darker, that's for sure.
Yep, for sure. Here we go, though. DRS, ERS is being used. He's going to go for the overtake now. He wants to have the track position. He's going to go all the way around the outside, not even looking for the switchback. He wants to hold it. Takes a bit of a moment off the circuit. He's now going to have a second run. Goes defensive, does Zingy. The switchback is available. Can he get better traction as they head to turn 4? He has the better line. He's got the run. They're nosing into the turn 4. I don't know that if it's that. I don't know if that's a sus sentence or not, but that was very, 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 very close. Nifojan almost got it to work, as you could see twitches on the rear as he was just frustrated that he didn't get that move done. But that was very, very close, and I think he's going to give it another shot on the next lap.
If we're really braking on the late braking maneuver on the outside, but just couldn't manage it. To hang it around the outside. Of course, there's a bit of a big curb on the outside of turn 1 when you exit it, so that's not helping him as well. But he probably lined it up for this finish straight as well.
I think he has to make the overtake now, because if he doesn't, he's risking that rain coming in and making the overtake even more difficult, and of course losing DRS. So that's why he's pushing so hard. He's got to try and bait Zingy into moving to the left-hand side of the circuit and then going to the inside, because you always know Zingy will opt for that inside line. He always will, almost being pushed off the circuit as there's a little bit of a wheel bang between the two. Back to the inside line. Nifo will have the advantage. He's going to send it with all his might. Is he going to have the advantage as they go to turn 4 once again? He's trying to hold it to the outside line. They're side by side. Nifo's ahead, and he's going to take the lead of the Hungarian Grand Prix. Zingy, I don't know if he's going to be able to come back from that one. Nifo has got the move done eventually. That is absolutely incredible.
Absolute crazy overtake by Nifo into turn 4. I didn't expect that from him, and he did it very well as well, forcing Zingy to just give up and not having the opportunity to get back on him. And now Zingy is on that receiving end of trying to get the DRS and push as much as possible.
He's also got a bit of dirty air as well, which might put him at risk at getting a time penalty, so he's going to have to consider that one. He's now got the disadvantage. It's not over yet though, because I think we will need to go into the pit lane if the rain comes within the next 2 laps, and then that will mean, of course, whoever goes into the pit lane first will have the advantage, or whoever gets it right, of course. But right now, I think if it stays as it is and we're staying on the slicks, Nifojan has got everything to gain here, but he does need to get a 3-second advantage, otherwise he's going to be in big trouble.
Yeah, it's now getting very dark. The clouds are are very dark at the moment, and rain spots are imminent. I think so, as they will probably ask to the engineer Mark if there will be any drops. But yeah, it can be crucial for Nifo. Maybe it will help him to break away for the 3-second penalty he got, of course, as he is really extending the interval at the moment.
Yeah, of course, doing a very good job at this right now. He leads the race for the first time, and, well, I say the first time, he did lead it momentarily while Zingy went into the pit lane, of course, but he leads the race fully for the first time and completes an entire lap in the lead. So he is, he has the high ground, that's what I should say. Sliding through the corner, now Zingy's going to spot that as an opportunity to maybe take advantage of. Oh, he rides the inside curve to get that rotation. It's risky, but it seems like it might work. Nifojan, though, I think he's going to be too powerful in a straight line. Both drivers have absolutely nothing on the battery to use, and DRS isn't exactly too powerful in this circuit, or even in this game. So, yeah, he's pretty much at mercy of whether Nifojan makes a mistake. He did make a mistake, but it wasn't big enough. The rain is surely on its way. I'm waiting for it to come up on the screen right now.
Yeah, it's now very close. The rain will probably fall, but I hope it will be. I hope it will be soon enough for those drivers to make a pit stop as well. Because, yeah, 4 laps, it really has to rain hard to gain that back on the inters. But if it's a wet track and you're on the slicks, your time is gone as well. So we will see.
Well, if Nifo pits, then Zingy will stay out. If Zingy pits, Nifo will stay out. So, whoever pits, the other person's going to be staying out to try and have at least an advantage. That's going to be the situation. Will Nifo pull the pin? No. Zingy is, at the moment, he doesn't need to worry. If he can stay here, then that's going to be good. So really, Nifo's going to be the one to call a pit stop. That's going to be something that we'll have to look into later on. But Riardi, unfortunately, I don't think he's going to be close enough to really have any advantage of this. PJ and Mikash might have a little bit of a situation on their hands later on, further down the order, but that's something for later on. Exactly. The rain, is it on its way yet? It's not on our screens just yet. I can't quite see it on the driver's halos at the moment. It's not dropping up the sky, but the clouds are very, very, very dark. Surely, within the next few corners, we're going to have it. We're on lap 32 out of 35. We have not got long left of this race.
Yeah, rain has to be imminent right now. If it's not falling in lap 33 or 34, it's not worth of going into the pits, I think. But if it's raining, Nifo probably will go into the pits because he has nothing to lose actually to Riardi, because that's quite a big gap. As it's now raining, yes, the drops are falling. That's very crucial. Is Nifo already making the pit stop, or will he wait for one more lap? We will see.
I don't know. That was a big lockup from Zingy there, so he might try and consider something. But as I said, that 3-second time penalty is crippling. Zingy, all he needs to do is stay within time penalty range and he'll be absolutely fine. He can just follow whatever Nifojan does. So Nifojan is the one to call it, and of course whoever makes a mistake if we do stay on these conditions. Zingy, I think he's pretty adaptable, but pace-wise, I know that Zingy was ahead before, but I think Nifo has it on him. Look, 7/10. He has the pace around the circuit. We always knew he did. He just wasn't able to show it at the beginning stages of this race.
Yeah, Nifo certainly has a pace advantage as he drops it out of the corner. He almost retires it, but yeah, that's Nifo's race gone. That's it. DRS is disabled.
Yeah, DRS is disabled. He's now going to be pitting. I'm sure Zingy's probably going to be pitting right now as well. I don't see why he... Well, I guess... Yeah, I don't really see why he wouldn't. He's got now a 5-second advantage plus 3 seconds over his teammate. That would be a significantly less amount of time that he needs to catch up to his teammate. That's the question, actually. Maybe he wouldn't pit. I don't know. Let's watch on board and see. You can see those drops on the circuit. They're getting pretty heavy pretty quickly. He is going to go into the pit lane just about. And Nifojan is not gonna go for it. He is gonna risk it. He's really gonna try his best. I mean, He's got everything to gain by doing this. He does have everything to gain. He's got a lot of hard work to do, though. It's going to be so tough for him to get this done, but it's not impossible. Lap 34 out of 35.
Yeah, these are a bit of Norris v Hamilton moments. Of course, Niffo now being on these slick tires, and hopefully he can just try and keep it on the track, but it will be very hard on those slick tires. But yeah, it's only 2 laps, 1.5 at the moment, so maybe he can manage it. He has 9 seconds. Yeah, of course with the 3-second penalty as well.
9 seconds is the gap. He needs to split that throughout, but I think the more the track gets wetter, the more Zingy will be warmed up, and the colder Nifo-Jan's tyres will be getting. So he's drifting through the corners right now. I think he can get to the end of the race, but I don't think it's going to be fast enough. 9 seconds, that's now 6 seconds gap that he has. It's almost going to be a 3-second gap immediately. What a shame for Nifo. It's just not going to work.
Zingy went off for a little moment, but he still kept it on track. He almost lost the car, so that would have been quite crucial. Sorry for interrupting, but yeah, that was very close.
A close moment, but that's already a 5-second gap between Nifo-Jan and Zingy. I don't think Nifo-Jan really has a choice. He has to stay out and just creep to the end of this race. He is going to have to do it. We've got to pray for Nifo that Zingy gets a time penalty. We're going to pray for Zingy that he doesn't make any mistakes. And look at that traction. Look at that traction. He's absolutely gone. That was a perfect call from Zingy, and a very, very heartbreaking moment for Nifo-Jan. That time penalty really did make them suffer in the end, even more than we ever thought. I don't think Riardi's going to be able to catch up enough, but those tyres are completely dead. He's just got to make sure that he gets this to the end of the race.
I think the spin out of the chicane lost him the race, because he would have been in front of Zingy with pitting, and Zingy couldn't pit then, of course. And as you saw, the track just got wet in like 1 lap. So Nifo probably would have gained a lot of time on that. So that's very sad.
Very sad for him, but it was a very, very good effort. We saw what he was trying to do. He gave it a shot. It was his only real shot with that time penalty. It didn't work, but at least he tried, of course. Zingy's got a couple more corners to go. He's got a final sector to get done, and he will be able to take another win. He won't be racing next time in Brazil, so this is absolutely what he needs. Maximum points as much as he can, of course. Zingy is going to come round the final corner. He won last week, and he's gonna win again. Zingy wins the Hungarian Grand Prix. Absolutely perfect from him. Nifo-Jan, such a great effort. 15 seconds is the gap. Now you can see he's absolutely power sliding through all the corners, just drifting his way around, trying to creep it. 1 more corner to go, and absolutely nothing to risk. Just take it home. That is Nifo-Jan taking a very well-deserved P2. It's just a shame that we couldn't speculate that it was going to be any more than that. Riardi will manage to get a P3. Very, very good recovery from them in the end. Very well done indeed. Mikash will take a P4. That's brilliant practice for them tomorrow. And PJ is going to take a nice haul of points in P5. Even if it's not what they want. Still, 10 points to the championship isn't too bad. Especially as Heischler and Luke both scoring no points this race.
Yeah, PJ, he just completed the race, and I think that's a good thing for him, taking those points. You have to stay consistent to end up in a high place in the Drivers' Championship, of course. And now nursing his way through the last corner on those Inter tires, and yeah, this race will be done. Oh no, don't retire, please. Oh, he did.
That's such a shame, but it won't be a problem because, of course, he'll be classed as a lap down. He'll still score points, so don't worry about it. We already get driver of the day. That's very well deserved. Very nice recovery from him, so well done indeed. Now, let's get those results, and then we'll go to the post-race interviews. That is Zingy taking another win yet again. Zingy wins, Nifo-Jan in P2, then we have Riardi in P3, Mikash, PJ in P5, then DNFing was End Andrews and Luke. Let's have a look at the race director just in case. Of course, there's quite a few track limit warnings around this circuit. It's very easy to do so. And that'll be that. We'll see in a bit for the post-race interviews. Hello everyone and welcome back to the post-race interviews of the Hungarian Grand Prix. That was an intense one at the end, of course. Very nice to see a close battle. But yeah, well done to Zingy for that one. We start the interviews with PJ. PJ, that was a tough race. You were with the pack at the beginning there for quite a long time. Unfortunately, just as Luke made a pit stop, you spun on the exit. Later on, trying to come back, you did score points in the end, even though you had that little bit of mistake at the final corner. Can you take us through that race?
Yeah, I mean, overall it was an okay race. My pace was okay, but not good enough to keep up with the guys in front. I think I could have ended up P4, but I had 3 little spins, and with the battle with Luke at the end, I also no, with Viardi, I think it was. Yeah, just spun out, had front wing damage, and from then on, I was just slower than everyone. And without the wing damage, I might have been able to battle for PP4. against Mikos, but it is what it is. P5, I finished. I mean, 1 lap down I finished, but yeah.
Fair enough, fair enough. I mean, well, it wouldn't have been a lap down, of course, until the final
I
moment.
just
But
want
you,
to say it wasn't on purpose. It was
yeah,
just a
that's all
mistake.
good. That's all good. Cohen saw it on stream anyway, so we know it's all good. Very, very good effort and points in the end. It's just a shame we didn't get to see you a little bit further up the order. Brazil, that's a classic circuit. Do you like that circuit?
No, not really. My pace is not really good there, and also the combinations of turn 1 and 2, I don't like it really much, and other corners, they are pretty low speed, and I have my difficulties at low speed tracks, so I don't think it will be good, but let's see.
Fair enough. Exactly what I would have said. I struggle with that one as well. Yeah, well done. Thank you very much for the race today. We'll see you next time. One last question. How would you describe your race in 3 words?
It is all right.
Thank you very much, and we'll see you next time. Well done today. And we move on to Nifo-chan. Nifo, that was such a good effort. In the end, unfortunately, it didn't matter. But are you happy with your pace? Anyway, that pace was absolutely incredible.
I mean, pace doesn't matter if you finish P2, does it? So, yeah. I mean, in quali I was already P2, but I knew Zingy ran it in like, I don't know, like 8 or 5 clicks more downwards than me. So I was like, all right, we're good in the race if I can keep up with him. And that's what we did. I think our first priority was just to keep the Mercedes behind, which we did. And I think I was a bit too nice that race. I think I saw through the whole first stint that I was just faster than him, but I was just too scared to overtake him because of the Mercedes behind, and like, you know, we're still like teammates and that, so I kind of just kept behind him. And you know, then the pit stops come, and well, he says he's got a pit, so I try to push a little bit more, but not enough because he pushes ERS. He pits, and then I pit, and then Luke obviously sees blood because he spun behind me. So it just battles me very hard, and I'm 2.2 seconds behind again. So at that moment, I just needed to push, and that's what I did. And I got an unlucky penalty on the way. I don't know if the last warning was legitimate, but it doesn't matter in the end anyway. So, but yeah, so I caught up to him pretty quickly, which I was surprised about. And then, you know, for the whole first stint, second stint, you just behind him and like, all right, I have to send it. I send it, and then basically he doesn't have to worry because I have a 3 second, which is pretty hard to remove, and I have to push that 3 seconds. So I pushed my absolute heart out there, and yeah, overheated my tires in the end because the tires were so on the limit for me. They were always 100 degrees. And because I pushed for so long, this went 102, and then, you know, rear's gone and you spin. And then, yeah, the last one. I mean, if I knew if I pitted for Inters, it would have been gone. So, and I had no danger from behind. So it was just a last-ditch effort to try and see if I could build something out of it. Hope it wasn't gonna rain that much, but it rained very much. So just squirming on the tires, and within 1 lap, I've been overtaken. So, yeah, it's disappointing. I knew, yeah, it's just I shouldn't be this nice again. I think in a drive, the constructors are still done, are already done, and the drivers are not. And I think if I would have driven a bit more egotistically, I think I would have won.
Yeah, it's a shame that the rain came in so hard. Usually it doesn't, of course. Usually it just comes out for the final 2 laps and then that's it. But for some reason that decided to change today. If you went for that overtake earlier on in the race, do you think you would have maybe been able to win this one?
Yeah.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Brazil, that's a sprint race. That's going to be good points on the table available as well. Zingy's not going to be driving in that one. Are you looking forward to that?
Yeah, of course, it's a good point. but as a track, it's not my strongest track. I'll put it that way. And I've noticed that in sprint races, I am better in managing the long distance races than really pushing pedal to the metal in the sprints. Although today was maybe a bit of an exception, but I don't know. We'll have to see. It depends on who's driving, who's competitive, and that. But it's gonna be all or nothing basically, that race. So I'll have to perform.
Indeed, indeed. I'm looking forward to that one. Really good effort today. It's a shame that it didn't go your way. One last question. How would you describe your race in 3 words?
Stop being nice.
Thank you very much, and we'll see you next time. Well done today. Great effort.
Yep.
We move on to Zingy. Zingy, that is a 2nd Hungarian Grand Prix win, and that is a 2nd win in a row. Are you pretty happy with that one as you sign off for the next race at least, scoring as much as you possibly can today?
Yeah, I'm just in the match for Verstappen, just gonna win the championship and then go on holiday, I guess you could say. Nah, that's disrespectful. I can't say that. Nah. So, I'm happy. Yeah, the hard pace was exceptional. That is something that I seem to thrive over a lot this season. I think everyone can agree. But my second stints seem to be a bit jittery. I can either be really quick and match the pace of the people behind me, or I struggle, which I did today because Niffle was. He went demon mode in that second stint, and I was actually kind of scared. But the rain kind of saved me, so I'm not complaining at all.
If you think Nifo got past on that hard tyre stint and then you went into the pit lane, do you think you'd have possibly not had the same outcome today?
Who's going into the pit lane first in the situation?
That would be Nifo.
Yeah, okay. Well, yeah, of course it's going to be different. If he pits first, whilst ahead of me, he's going to pull 1.6, 1.7 like I did. And that's like a little mutual agreement we have, whether whoever's first on track within like a few laps of the pit stop window, we keep it that way. And it's just, we just try to be respectful towards each other. But he was really, really pushing me there. But I think he tried to go for a move on the last lap, but the tyres had no grip whatsoever, and he just skated off the track. So
yeah,
I got a bit lucky because I followed PG in, and I was like, my race is on PG here if I lose, but I won, so I'll take it.
You got someone to blame. So yeah, I mean, that mutual agreement maybe is going to go away. You'll come back for Australia. Do you like that circuit?
I like it, but the penalties might be a bit iffy because I was struggling. I got 2 warnings in the first 10 laps, and then I just had to be conservative. But I managed to somehow keep it on track, which is something I don't really do too often. So
Fair enough.
I'm loving it.
Fair enough. Well, thank you very much for today. Great entertainment and really well done. Very well deserved. We'll see you next time. Other than that, one last question. How would you describe your race in 3 words?
You won't see me next time.
We'll see you next time at Australia.
Yeah. 3 words. Praise the Lord.
Thank you very much. We'll see you next time. Well done today. Alrighty, just to clarify, yes, that's Australia for Zingy, because he's not going to be here at Brazil. We'll see you tomorrow for the F1.5 EU Championship. We'll see you next week for the Brazilian Grand Prix, the final sprint race of the season. Other than that, it's been a pleasure, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.
Sorry, guys.
I was confused that you said Australia.